Buried deep beneath the sands of Peru, a forgotten people left behind something no one could explain. Skulls, elongated, smooth, and eerily symmetrical, unlike anything seen in human history. Their shape defied biology. Their presence defied logic. Local legends spoke of gods, of star beings who walked among mortals. But scientists, baffled and skeptical, could only stare in disbelief. For centuries, the Paracas skulls were dismissed as crude cranial deformation, rituals gone too far. But then, a breakthrough. Hidden within the bone, a secret was waiting. Ancient DNA, preserved, intact, and ready to speak after thousands of years. What it revealed would shake the foundations of anthropology. The bloodline it traced? Not entirely human. What were these beings really? Where did they come from? And could they still have descendants walking among us today? The answers may lie within the twisted double helix of the Paracas skulls. In 1928, in the barren coastal desert of southern Peru, archaeologist Julio Tello made a discovery that would haunt science for nearly a century. Beneath the dusty earth of the Paracas Peninsula, he uncovered a massive necropolis, over 300 skulls, many of which were unlike anything found in the archaeological record. These skulls weren't just deformed. They were elongated in ways that defied natural human anatomy. Cranial volumes up to 25% larger, eye sockets wider, bone density different. And what was most puzzling, some of these skulls belonged to infants, far too young to have undergone any kind of artificial cranial shaping. As news spread, the world watched in fascination and disbelief. Who were these people? How did they achieve such extreme modifications, if that's what they were? And why? The Paracas skulls became a magnet for fringe theories, from alien hybrids to lost civilizations with unknown technology. Mainstream scientists urged caution, attributing the shapes to cultural practices. But the evidence didn't fit neatly. And the location, so remote, so isolated, raised even more questions. How did this practice appear here, and nowhere else to this extreme? The mystery only grew deeper. What ancient culture could possess knowledge or genetics that allowed for such dramatic physical traits? Could this point to migration, mutation, or something entirely different? For decades, the elongated skulls of Paracas sat behind glass, silent relics, frozen in time. But in 2014, a bold initiative began to change everything. A team of independent researchers, supported by private funding, obtained rare permission to extract samples from several of the most intact skulls. The goal? To recover ancient DNA, something notoriously difficult to retrieve in dry, sandy environments. From deep within the skull bones and preserved hair fibers, they collected fragments, tiny, fragile strands of genetic code. Most attempts would fail. But in one sample, something extraordinary happened. Mitochondrial DNA, passed down only through the maternal line, was successfully sequenced. The results came back. Anomalous. It didn't match any known Native American lineage. In fact, it didn't match anything in the established human database. The researchers were stunned. What they had found hinted at a maternal origin from the Caucasus region, thousands of miles away from Peru. How could such a lineage end up in South America, thousands of years ago, before transoceanic contact was even conceivable? This wasn't just an outlier. It was a genetic fingerprint that didn't belong in this part of the world at all. And it was just the beginning. With the first DNA results raising more questions than answers, a deeper investigation was launched. Geneticists, anthropologists, and forensic experts from multiple countries were brought in, each tasked with verifying, challenging, or confirming the findings. The samples were sent to multiple independent labs to rule out contamination. Every precaution was taken. Bone samples were extracted under sterile conditions. Sequencing was repeated using both mitochondrial and nuclear DNA. And still, the results held. Multiple skulls showed haplogroups not native to the Americas. Some matched European and Middle Eastern lineages, particularly from regions like Anatolia and the Black Sea. This contradicted everything we thought we knew about pre-Columbian migration. There was no record, no precedent, no known cultural exchange that could explain these genetics in ancient Peru. Mainstream scholars pushed back hard, claiming contamination or flawed methodology. But the tests were peer-reviewed, verified, and replicated. More troubling, the skulls continued to defy anatomical norms. CT scans revealed differences in cranial sutures and foramen magnum placement, traits that couldn't be explained by artificial shaping alone. These weren't just altered skulls. They appeared to be fundamentally different in structure. If this was a lost people, who were they? And how did their genetic legacy end up isolated on the Peruvian coast? As deeper sequencing was performed, the data grew more alarming. Nuclear DNA, much harder to preserve than mitochondrial, began to yield fragments. And those fragments told a shocking story. While portions aligned with known human genomes, entire sections did not. They showed highly divergent markers, sequences that had no clear match in any known human population, ancient or modern. The anomalies were too structured to be random mutations. They hinted at an unknown origin, a divergent branch of the human tree, or perhaps an entirely separate root. Adding to the mystery, isotope analysis of the bones suggested these individuals had diets and possibly blood chemistry not typical of local populations. Even their cranial development, analyzed via 3D modeling, suggested that the elongated shape was natural, not artificially induced. These weren't modified humans. They may have been born this way. The final blow came when a segment of DNA closely resembled sequences found in ancient Eurasian populations, but with unknown insertions that didn't match any Homo sapiens variant. Some geneticists quietly speculated, could we be looking at a now extinct subspecies, or something non-human entirely? The conclusion was clear. These skulls didn't just look different, they were different. Genetically, anatomically, and historically. And they did not belong to any known civilization in the Americas. Imagine the scene. Over 3,000 years ago, long before the rise of the Inca or the known civilizations of Mesoamerica, a mysterious seafaring people, genetically distinct and biologically unique, arrive on the arid coast of what is now Peru. Their ships, unlike anything local cultures had seen, carry men, women, and children with elongated skulls, lighter skin, and unknown language. They settle in isolation, establishing rituals, burial practices, and architecture foreign to the region. The Paracas culture rises, marked by advanced textile weaving, intricate cranial surgery, and complex burial tombs. Their presence is sudden and powerful. But then, just as mysteriously, they vanish. No clear evidence of conquest. No massive migration trails. It's as if they faded out of history, or were absorbed and erased by time. Some theories suggest cataclysm, others disease. But one fact remains. They left behind physical evidence that defies conventional anthropology. The DNA doesn't lie. They came from elsewhere. Perhaps from Eastern Europe or the Caucasus. Perhaps from a lost human lineage. Or perhaps from a place we've yet to understand. This wasn't just a tribe with strange rituals. It was a lost chapter of human, or possibly non-human history, preserved in bone and buried beneath the sands of Peru. The Paracas skulls are more than archaeological curiosities. They are scientific time bombs. Their genetic code challenges everything we know about human migration, evolution, and ancient contact. Were they the remnants of a lost civilization? Survivors of an ancient catastrophe? Or proof that Earth's history is far more complex and far more mysterious than we ever imagined? To this day, their DNA remains only partially decoded. New tests continue in secret labs, guarded by skeptics and visionaries alike. Meanwhile, the skulls sit in silent rows inside Peruvian museums, watched by tourists who have no idea what secrets lie inside those elongated bones. And maybe that's the way history likes it: hidden, fragmented, waiting for those who dare to question the narrative. So what do you believe? Is this the missing link to an ancient global civilization, or evidence of something beyond our species? If this story blew your mind, don't forget to like, subscribe, and explore more mysteries with us. Because sometimes the past doesn't just whisper, it screams.